If you have one of several EVs on the market now, such as my Polestar 2, a Tesla Model 3 dual motor long range, or Tesla Model Y dual motor long range, or a Mercedes EQ EV, or a Cadillac Lyriq, then there's an option for you where you can buy more acceleration and performance for your car. And for most of these, it's priced at $1,200. For everyone except Tesla, it's a $2,000 acceleration boost package, or they call it something different. But in my Polestar, I spent $1,200 and I was able to get more horsepower, more torque, and a slightly quicker 0 to 60 time. In this video, I'm going to talk with Dave Connor, who's owned a lot of vehicles, including Teslas, that he's done an acceleration boost on whether in general for vehicles like this that offer such an option, is it worth it? It's kind of cool as a concept, right? You basically, download more horsepower. I mean, that's not really what you're doing, but you basically get an over-the-air update that retunes the existing hardware, motor controllers and everything in your car, and you're gonna, get more performance. Usually it's marginal gains, but for bragging rights, it's kind of cool. In the case of my Polestar 2, they even gave me a new sticker that reflects my new total kilowatt output power that I can make with my car. So that's neat. But let me talk to Dave, and we'll kind of fill you in on how to figure out whether or not it's worth it for you to consider an acceleration boost option for your EV. All right, welcome on to Out of Spec Guide again, Dave.
Hey, Max, how's it going?
Going well. And I think we were talking a little bit before this, and I think we have the perfect framing for this kind of issue. Do I get an acceleration boost for my electric car over the air as an internet update? This is a first world problem, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. This is the epitome of first world. Should I spend $2,000 so I can go 0.6 seconds faster? And, okay. So let's talk about it, because it is something you can buy. It's a real world option. The question is, should you? I mean, we had the Model Y without it. We now have the Model Y with it. What I can tell you is I'm very happy that we, thanks to a lot of you out there, were able to use our referral credits instead of writing a check for $2,000. But let me put that aside and say, would I spend $2,000 for this? I think that's really what you're trying to get at. For me, 10,000 points, no brainer, right? That was one Model 3 or Model Y referral for 10,000 points, and I got acceleration boost. Yeah, boom, check the box. Let's go. But would you spend $2,000? Let's not forget that's after tax money. So you got to earn whatever tax bracket you're in. You got to earn like close to $3,000, right? And pay for it. And so that's what we should talk about.
Yes, I think it's worth basically evaluating, is this actually worth it as an option? And no one's denying it's making the cars quicker. The cars are already quick to begin with. And it's something that I think we also just need to put in perspective to begin with, right? Like here we are with a Model Y long range dual motor. It's a 4.8 second 0 to 60 time. Now Tesla, of course, has some of the most competitive 0 to 60 times, but this isn't unique in EV world. Lots of EVs are putting out competitive acceleration numbers, and as we'll talk about, these other brands are offering the software packages as upgrades on top of that. So software is not going to give you new wheels. It's not going to give you new tires and suspension like you might get with the certain trims of like a Model Y performance or a Model 3 performance. But if someone's getting this upgrade, Dave, they're spending $2,000. It sounds like, okay, slightly faster acceleration, 4.8, that's going down to 4.3 in the case of the Model 3 and the Model Y with all-wheel drive.
It's actually Tesla, believe it or not, in my testing is actually conservative on the half second. It's really closer to 0.6 in my testing. But there's one sort of argument that is years ago I bought a Tesla Model X, and it was a 60D. It was a software limited 75D pack that they only allowed you to use a certain portion of the battery pack. And I saved $9,000 by doing that. And I was like, wow, yeah, that's great. That got me into a Model X back in the day. And then I got to thinking, like, wait a minute, the company has the same exact motor in the car on a 75D than a 60D, and they're going to charge me $9,000 less just by flipping a dip switch or a setting. And that's when I started to realize that that Tesla is really a software company, that they can do that. And here they're doing the opposite. They're putting technology into your car that is far more capable as to what they're delivering to you, and then they're charging you an upcharge for it. Brilliant business model, right? Let's just hats off. And I'll get it out of the way first. A lot of people will say, should they do that, or shouldn't they just give you everything that the motor within the tolerances and the ability to keep it under warranty and not have it break down? Shouldn't they just give you the best of what the potential is? And my answer is no, because if their business model is to be able to parse it out to those that are willing to pay and save some bucks for those that are not willing to pay it, I think that's a great business model. So I don't know. We've never seen anything like this in the auto industry. When I was a kid growing up, Max, if somebody said to you in high school that there was a car that could do under 6 seconds, 0 to 60, you were blown away. You would go out to see the car. Look at the modifications. Look how much money they put into that car to get it under 6 seconds. And then you fast forward to today, where my buddy Rob Laterra, he has a Model 3 long range 2019. It went in for service, right? It's a great car. And they gave him a Model 3 loaner. And he was driving the car around. He's like, Dave, this thing is fast. Did they make changes to it? And I said, FaceTime me. So he FaceTimed me. And I said, show me the car. You know what it was? It was an LFP rear wheel drive that does 0 to 60 in 5.8 seconds. And it felt faster to him than the Model 3 long range that he had, just because of the way that it was geared. So I think that what we're going to get back to this whole acceleration boost thing in a second here. But if you have two Model Ys sitting next to each other, and you take one Model Y that's a base without the acceleration boost for 2,000 less, and you punch it, you're going to be like, wow, that is fast. It really is. 0 to 60, what is it? 4.8, I think, something like that. And then if you go over right after you do that, and you get in the Model Y with the acceleration boost and you punch it, you're absolutely going to feel a difference. And not only will you feel a difference from 0 to 60, you'll feel a difference from 50 to 80. Right? It's the way with which the car jumps and accelerates. There is no doubt they've given you enough as a percentage gain to have that value. But what happens after a week of driving it? You get used to it. And you're like, okay, this is the way the car is. And you're not comparing it to the old one. And the question is, if you didn't have the acceleration boost, would you be asking, oh, I wish it had more? And what I would say is, both on the Model 3 and the Model Y, I don't think the average person would really be saying, I want it to go faster. Now, maybe some, gearheads that are really about the numbers and want to brag and this and that. But I think if everybody's really honest about it, that's why I say this is a first world problem. The Model Y and the Model 3 long range, the way they are, those are the only two vehicles that are actually capable of being acceleration boosted, either the rear wheel drive LFP or the performance. Neither one of those are eligible for the acceleration boost. So it's just the long range that is. And I think you get used to the base model and you keep your money. Now, if you have referral credits, use them, get it. That's what we did, and we're happy.
Yeah, absolutely. The one wrinkle I want to add into this before I want to get into what other brands are doing, though, is Dave, you know this very well. Model 3 prices, not just the base rear wheel drive, but all over the place. Tesla's lineup has been getting cheaper and cheaper. And so now it comes to an interesting crossroads where the delta between a Model 3 long range and a performance, okay, it's there, $6,000 I see, and I believe it was about $4,000 between Model Y long range versus performance. So there's still a delta, but that's getting uncomfortably close to the $2,000 if you don't have referral credit software package. And when you get a Model 3 or a Model Y performance, you're getting larger wheels and tires and all of that. And do you actually want that? That's a different question for another day, because you're going to lose out on range.
I agree with you on that. I think the Model 3 performance, especially if you can grab one now with the inventory deals, they're smoking hot deals if you're not so hot for the refresh, aka the what do they call that thing? The Highland.
Yeah, not available in the US yet, but we don't know anything about what the performance Highland might look like. So at the moment, yeah, if you want a Model 3 performance, out the gate, this seems compelling. But of course, Dave, there's lots of people who probably already have the long range. And I imagine those are probably the people who are going to be most intrigued at spending the money or the referral credits to get the
Yeah.
upgrade.
And the one thing to keep in mind is I think it stays with the car, right? So unlike FSD back in the day when it didn't stay with the car, it stays with the car. So when you go to sell your car, if your car has the acceleration boost and another one doesn't, and they're the same money or $500 more, you're going to get the nod on the purchase as opposed to someone who doesn't have the acceleration boost. So I think that's a good value. I mean, look, if you got $2,000 burning a hole in your pocket, write the check or push the button and go for it. You will feel a difference. It's not unnoticeable. My wife's Model Y thing is fast. I mean, it jumps. I'm not like Kyle, my son Kyle. He's like totally into speed, loves speed. It's like it's not fast enough. But I'm talking about from the average Joe. These cars are so fast. They just really are, all of them.
Yeah, they're already very quick. And I like your earlier point you brought up. This isn't just, even though 0 to 60 is the easiest number for us to compare, it's not just that. This is, increasing the power and the torque for getting you that go when you're above speeds of 60 miles an hour.
That's right.
Hopefully staying in the legal zone, but basically having a little
Of course.
bit more fun with the long range car that you have. So that's great. Tesla was a pioneer with this, but of course other EV brands or other, traditional legacy automakers are now adopting this approach
Yeah,
too.
I
So
didn't even know that, Max. You're educating me here. Tell me about it because I didn't
that's
realize.
what I'm here for. Out of
Yeah, well,
spec guide.
help me
Yeah.
out. I didn't know that you could get acceleration boosts now, from other companies.
Yeah, so it's a super interesting story, and it begin. I'll just begin. There's three other kind of models or lineup of cars that do this, but let's start with the Polestar 2 because that's a car I actually have right now, and I've done this, Dave. I bought a Polestar 2 with the performance pack from 2021, which was the launch model year. So you might ask, why buy performance on top of that? Well, what Polestar did is when they refreshed the car for its first model year, they figured, okay, we have the same motor hardware, but we know how it works now. We're more confident with it. We're going to give it an extra bit of a tune. But I think the really cool thing of what they did is they offered for existing launch model year owners of the Polestar 2 the option to spend $1,200 and get this acceleration boost. And it's more than an acceleration boost. They say it's like a whole dynamics upgrade. They kind of just refined a lot of the motor control. They made the pedal feel more responsive. And for $1,200 for me, it honestly was a
I would do
no-brainer.
that.
Not to say
What?
it was like no money. It was
I would
substantial
say
money for me,
two
but it
grand.
was
Two
yeah.
grand feels like money to me.
hmm
1,200 doesn't.
And the
That feels
numbers
like
here,
feels like a good value.
Yeah, I mean, in the context of, okay, buying horsepower over the internet, can it ever be a good value? I think this was. And it went from 4.50 to 60 to 4.2, and it increased the power on both motors. They went from 408 total to
4.5 to
476.
4.2. So that's only a 0.3 second difference, whereas Tesla is a point six. It's like double, right?
Yes. And if you listen to Polestar's
Okay.
marketing, what they'll tell you is it's really above speeds at 40 miles an hour that you really notice the pull. And I can tell you firsthand that's kind of where you notice it. Also, it does make that pedal responsiveness nicer. And I
Mhm.
will say, Dave, personally, me at this point, I know for a lot of people, Tesla's throttle mapping or their accelerator mapping, because it's an EV, is the gold standard in terms of the smoothness and responsiveness of the pedal. The Polestar 2 with the upgrade, I love the way it drives with one pedal and everything. I've gotten so used to it. I prefer it to Tesla now,
Yeah.
but I think they're both among the best. And it's cool for enthusiasts of this brand. You can get it. And the story, if you have a Polestar 2, is you don't need the performance pack like I did on my original launch model year. Any dual motor Polestar 2, kind of like with the Model 3 in the long range,
Gotcha.
any dual motor one's eligible for this.
What other brand is offering this kind of a thing?
So Polestar was also pretty early with this doing this, but Mercedes on their EQ lineup of cars, basically their electric cars, does this as well. So they call it acceleration on demand upgrade, and it's a similar price. It is similar to Tesla in the lifetime of the vehicle price is somewhere around $2,000. It's actually more expensive on more expensive cars. So in the EQE sedan and the EQE SUV, It's 1950 on the EQS class of vehicles, both sedan and SUV. It's almost 3 grand.
Oh,
But
oh man.
yeah, they're
Oh,
making
oh,
you
you
pay.
have money? Oh, okay. We're going to charge you more. Okay. Yeah. For
I mean, they're being honest. It's a luxury good,
yeah.
but
All right.
yes.
Wow. That is beautiful. I love that. Okay. Whatever.
And here's a table if you're a Mercedes owner considering this or a would be EQ owner to consider here. They also offer a subscription. But, Dave, the crucial thing, you mentioned this earlier, if you get the subscription that's tied to your account, I believe if you buy the lifetime of vehicle one, that's going to stay with the vehicle and that's going to be something you could use in resale and, add to the value of the car.
Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. For the length of term that I buy cars, I would definitely go if I wanted the acceleration boost in a Mercedes. I would definitely go for the subscription, even though it is relatively pricey. But
You
now,
can pay monthly, Dave. They let you pay like $90 a month just to try it out.
yeah, you want to finance that tattoo? It's like, you know, okay, you have a problem if you're financing a tattoo. How's somebody going to come and claim that back? How are they going to repossess a tattoo? They can't. Well, I don't know why I just said that, Max, but but here's the deal: the second there, in terms of going down point 0.9 or 1 second, you compare that to the 0.3 of a second on the Polestar, and you compare that to the 0.6 or 0.5 of a second on the Tesla. Don't let that fool you into thinking, oh, you've got a lot more acceleration boost with the Mercedes, because you have to think of it as a percentage of the actual baseline speed 0 to 60. So 1 second over 6 seconds 0 to 60, or 6.2, is the percentage of acceleration. What I'm trying to say is that on a Tesla that's, let's say, a 4.8 going down to a 4.3 or 4.2, even though it's 0.6 of a second, that's probably equivalent to a second coming off of a 6.2 down to a 5.2. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. And I think math wise, you're basically on the money. It's still a bigger difference, but you are starting from a proportionally, the Mercedes is still a bigger reduction, but you do start from a substantially slower 0 to 60. So it's not quite as, blow out the doors good of a value as it may
Yeah.
seem relative to Tesla
Well,
and
I drove
Polestar.
a Mercedes EQS. I think it was a 350 plus, a rear wheel drive that Kyle had on loan out in Colorado a few months ago or 2 months ago.
The SUV, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, I loved it. The,
Yeah.
the only problem with that car is the pillow for the headrest is so nice that I would just fall asleep and then I'd crash. Okay. So I mean, it's super comfortable, but I wasn't wanting it to be any faster. I was like okay with the speed on that. At least I think I was. Like I thought it was properly powered.
To be
I mean, it
honest,
could go faster. It wasn't like a speed demon, but it's not a race car, right?
you paused, froze on my screen for
I
a
think
few
I did a Max
seconds.
Headroom thing. You probably won't know what that is from the 80s. Do you remember who Max Headroom was?
I don't.
Oh, all right. So for all the old folks out there, you'll get that joke, Max Headroom. Look that up after this video. Um, look, the performance boost. I can talk firsthand about the Tesla Model Y. Definitely a big difference. And I just was talking to Kathy about this before, and I said, "Are you happy you have it?" She's like, Dave, you used to see me zipping to work on 95, heading up from here up to Fairfield, Connecticut every morning. She's like, zing, zing, zing. And what she's saying is, it's not just about the 0 to 60. It's when you're at speed and you want to take someone, or she says it's really responsive, very quick. It's a heavy car, right? These cars are not light, and the
Mm-hmm.
thing feels light on its feet. Um, I would just caution you before you spend the 2 grand to go drive the base one and say, do you really need that? Or are you better off, if you have a loan, put that 2 grand down on the loan and pay it off sooner? I don't know.
Yeah. This is particularly relevant with both Tesla and Polestar because of Tesla and Polestar, you have the option, right, of getting the performance trim of the car to begin with, that also has the wheels and potentially upgraded brakes and a spoiler or things like that.
Yeah.
With the Mercedes, like you were saying, Dave, wasn't a race car to begin with. It doesn't particularly make it one. It just makes it feel a little quicker and more responsive. And if you like that, that's there. The most recent news, just today, I think it was announced, the Cadillac Lyriq all-wheel drive has their own $1,200 velocity upgrade. Similar story to all of these other ones. This one's kind of notable in that nominally horsepower doesn't change. It's just more torque, 74 pound-feet extra, and a 0.3-second reduction in 0 to 60 from 4.7 to 4.4.
You know what I like that I just saw? If you go back up, 7 days to reconsider. I
Yeah,
like that.
I think it's nice to have some kind of trial period in
I
that
think
way.
that's a
Yeah.
really smart thing to do. I like that. From that's not just marketing. That gives me like, yeah, okay, let me try it out. And if I like it, I'll keep it. And if I don't, I'll give it back. And I think that that's a very smart technique. When you buy the 2 grand from Tesla, you don't. I don't think you've got that. Do you have that opportunity? I don't think you do.
Not as far as I'm aware, no.
Yeah. So, all right, for whatever it's worth, I like that. Hats off to GM on that one. I like that.
Yeah, so even though, okay, nominally this is one of the weaker upgrades, it's cool for Lyriq owners. Similar story than Mercedes products. I don't think the Cadillac Lyriq is really ever pretended to be that sporty of an SUV or a crossover, but it's cool that they give you this option. $1,200 is, frankly, I think, pretty reasonable
Yeah,
to
I would
offer it
agree.
for. And so it's a nice option. I do want to mention also, you said earlier, Dave, you can't, how do you repossess a tattoo? Well, I don't think you know how apt that analogy was, because on my Polestar performance upgrade, one of the cool things is, in addition to getting the software, they sent me in the mail, Dave, new stickers to put on the door, because the Polestar is one of those cars that has stickers on the door to tell you the power output of the car. So Polestar made sure to send me new stickers so I'll have the correct power output and a badge that I can put on my grill. So that's what I
So
did.
they repossessed the tattoo on the Polestar. They figured it out. Well, okay, that's good.
Now, yeah, the question is, if you ask for a return on it, get or whatever, do they take the sticker back? I don't know, Dave. I frankly don't want to test that, but I think it's super funny.
Now, Max, forgive me and please don't get upset at me, but that sticker that's on the Polestar, that seems to me like, when you buy a baseball cap and it has the little sticker on it, says the size, or that's it looks like a sticker you'd want to take off. I don't know why it's there.
I
It
think
doesn't.
it's
It doesn't.
nice. It's not as flat as it looks in pictures. It's like a 3D embossed decal, and maybe you don't want it, but the cool thing is they give you the choice. They're not forcing you to put it on. I
Right.
just put it on because it's like, okay,
No,
well,
I
I
know,
spent
Max.
this money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Max, you're that kind of guy. You need to show off. Look at my Polestar 2 with my extra 48 pounds of torque, or whatever it is. So, look, I think this is one of those things. Go drive a car without the acceleration boost, whichever one it is, and then drive one with it, and then decide. I would say, if you're really honest with yourself and you're trying to be a little bit careful with funds, you probably won't upgrade it on the Tesla for 2 grand, because I think the base cars are plenty fast. Now, if you got
Yep.
2 grand burning a hole in your pocket, you're not going to be upset. So I think it's a personal choice. That's really what it comes down to, a real personal choice.
Agree with you. I think it's a personal choice. It depends on the vehicle. With the Mercedes, okay, maybe you bought it and you love the car and the pillows and everything, but it's just a little bit too slow for you. Okay, maybe do their monthly option, the $90 a month subscription, and I think you could buy the lifetime if you figured you wanted to do that later on. But Dave, this is what an interesting world we live in now, that you can just
Yeah.
download more performance for your car.
Yeah, one last point I want to make. You got me thinking about this. Let's say you have an EQS SUV. You got a big Thule box or a Yakima box up on top. You got, 4 kids and all their luggage, and you're heading up to Stratton, Vermont from Fairfield County for the weekend, right? Very Northeast Connecticut thing to say. Um, you may want the performance boost just because you've got so much weight in that car. It may be worth it. So it's something to consider if you do put a lot of junk in your car. whether it's family or luggage or skis or snowboards, or if you're towing something with an SUV rig, I think you would probably want to get it then. But if you're just tooling around, with yourself and your other half or your pup in the back, it seems like a real luxury to me. Um, anyway, Max, I appreciate you having me on. I enjoy this topic. Had I not driven Kathy's the Model Y with the acceleration boost, I wouldn't even have accepted to come on this channel because I wouldn't know what I'm talking about. But I've driven it before and I drove it after. There is definitely a change. The only thing is, after a week of getting used to it, are you really going to notice it and say, "Oh, I'm glad I had it every day"? Now, Kathy seems to think she's happy with it, zipping in the lab. I got to talk to her about that. That's a different issue. She may get a ticket here, and then our insurance rates will go up. But with that, I'll end it right here.
Yeah, that could be a lot more expensive than the
Yeah,
acceleration boost in the first
that's
place. So
right.
consider that, viewers, and your behavior. But
That's
anyhow,
right.
thanks as always for joining me, David.
You're very welcome. Good night. Take care.
Good night.
Bye bye.